Hi, I'm Vivian.
And I'm Anna.
We're a mother-daughter duo who have been on a very specific journey for the last 28 years. And now it's time to bring you into the conversation.
Welcome to the Pain Project podcast, where we will tackle the complexities and the challenges of living with chronic pain. Our goal is to see pain unmasked and stories unleashed. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pain Project podcast. It's been a minute. It's been, I think we looked at it about 5 months since we recorded something to share with everybody. And so this podcast is going to look a little bit different. We are obviously talking to each other, but a big reason why we wanted to record this is we want to talk to you guys and kind of fill you in on where we've been, why we've been a little bit more absent, and where we kind of see ourselves going from here. It's been a very, really busy 5 months, very full of, a lot of things. And, I was looking at the calendar and we're sitting down to record this and we're at the 1 year mark of when we first put out our first podcast and first announced the Pain Project, which is really, really exciting. And we've learned a lot of things. It's opened up a lot of doors, like in our in our mind. And I think there's some really valuable things that we've kind of figured out in this last year that will be instrumental in where we go from here and our path forward. So here we are, talking to each other, bringing you guys in on the conversations that we've been having for the last several months. And so you want to take it away?
Here we go. So, it's so interesting. When we first started, we were really excited about the different things that we were doing. And we never really set out to be content creators. That was not really the goal. We did want a social media platform, if you will. Yeah. We wanted the YouTube platform and the podcast platform to get our message out, which is, we want people to be able to tell their stories. We want to see people have mental and spiritual healing and peace. It's more just like letting people know that they're seen and they're heard and they're not alone. And realizing too that when you have chronic physical pain, there's so much emotional pain that follows that, whether it's one because of the other or just because someone suffers with chronic pain, there's just a lot of emotional issues that go along with that. Yeah. So we've discussed a lot of those things over this past year, and we will continue to do that. Yeah. But what we were finding is as we were telling our stories and doing different content creation, and we both enjoyed it, it was fun, it just was taking a lot of time, a lot of effort. And
we're in it for the time and the effort, but the effort is becoming
it's being controlled.
Yes, that's
the effort is. It's not the effort that we're putting into it. We're doing that and we love it, and it's actually been healing and really good. Yet, the algorithm of the different social media platforms are what control what goes out and when and if.
And who sees it and who doesn't see it. I mean, what we've seen is like, we will work really hard on a piece of content, a video, plan it out, and then hopefully post it at the opportune time, and then realize that our people, the people that are already invested in the Pain Project, aren't seeing it, you know, like, it's a little bit, it becomes discouraging when we're trying to get the story out there, and you guys aren't even seeing it, let alone reaching new people.
Yeah. So that's been a little bit frustrating.
That's been a part of the struggle in, you know, busy lives and stuff like that, trying to figure out, okay, if we want people to see the content, then we need to make sure that we're doing the things that are trending, and all of that is fun and good, and we do enjoy that to a certain extent. But a lot of it comes at a cost, and that cost is, I mean,
it's almost too much to pay that cost when you suffer with chronic pain.
Yeah.
You're already paying the price for so many other things.
Yeah, so like I think maybe other chronic pain sufferers may understand this, where it's very difficult to share your story, right? We've all talked about that, and people who deal with pain, physical or mental, understand the challenges that come with sharing your story. And we've all experienced what happens when the story falls on deaf ears, or is shot down, or just not received super well. It's almost re-traumatizing every time you tell the story, because you're hoping that maybe it goes over well. And so I've kind of joked a little bit where behind the scenes when we're talking, we're like, oh my gosh, are we being re-traumatized by an algorithm? Because it's like,
we're trying to tell our stories, and the algorithm says,
maybe
we don't think your
not.
story needs to be heard.
Right. And so how
or
can,
listened to.
You know, we're signing up for this in a way where we're putting ourselves out there, putting our stories out there. And we understand that it's not going to be well received by everybody. But we're also seeing the challenges of, we want to hear more people's stories, right? It's not just about us. We want to provide a place for other people to share their stories too. But how can we welcome somebody into that space, knowing what they might experience as well? That they might experience the same thing of, maybe it wouldn't perform as well because of the day of the week that it comes out, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Or the time it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Because you do have to sacrifice. We know that you have to sacrifice rest, or time with family, or whatever. We have to sacrifice something to do whatever it is we're doing.
Right.
Again, we want to do it.
Right. Yeah.
It just inviting other people to be a part of it, and it not get where it needs to go. That effort can feel wasted.
Yeah.
Is that?
I think so. And so none of this is like pity party, like, look at us, we're, you know,
we feel so bad because the algorithm is so mean.
Yeah, no,
that's not what we're
saying. It's none of that.
But we're learning. Learning. This is a learning process.
It's a project. It's ever evolving, and I think what we're learning is that social media, the algorithms, are a helpful tool. But I don't know that they're going to be the primary method of sharing stories and getting it out there, or even providing healing. It's going to be a tool, but I wonder if maybe you felt differently, but when we started out, I was like, oh yeah, we'll use a social media platform to encourage and educate and empower. And that's going to be the Pain Project, is going to be this online community where we can build all this stuff. And I still think that it is possible to have that. But I'm wondering, and what we're processing out and what we have been processing in these last 5 months is it going to be the only way that we do it? And I think the answer is no. I don't think that social media is going to be the primary method of getting the Pain Project out there. It is going to be a tool that we use, but not something to be heavily relied on for getting the message out there and for reaching people, if that makes sense. Is that?
It's not going to be the only tool we use.
Yeah. So,
for sure.
So that in the busyness of life, if we have a season where we're not posting as much because life happens, that we're not like, oh my gosh, we have to get back out of the depths of the algorithm to get seen again by our people, let alone reaching other people out there. Yeah.
You know, when the goal, we have a huge goal, and the goal is to, well, like you just listed, educate and encourage. We also want to promote change in the world of, in the spiritual arenas that can cause pain to pain sufferers, specifically emotional pain. And so we have, the goal is kind of big because we want change as well as encouragement and care and education and things like that. And this is going to take more time and more effort, and not just through social media.
Right.
Are we going to be able to do that?
Well, and I think a lot of times with change, the way that change occurs is through a ripple effect. So one person changes, and then they change the people around them, and then it ripples out like that. And that's just not really the nature of social media. When you're looking at the way that algorithms work and social media works, I think it can work like that for some people and for some businesses or for some content creators. But oftentimes it's about that initial contact. You're just kind of focused on the viewer, that one viewer, so that you can pull them in and hopefully they'll share it with somebody else. But I think what we're looking for is a broader change than just
please share.
Yeah. Like,
even
comment,
though we
subscribe.
Want that.
Yeah, please.
It's
please
more
do,
than that. It's more than that.
Yeah. There's a desire that we have, and we've talked about this before. Our sphere of influence is more in, or maybe not sphere of influence, but our world is more the church world, like Christianity, and we live in America, so American church. I think we're looking to see a change within local churches, because if we can go to the root, which I'm not saying that local churches are the root of a lot of pain, but sometimes that is the case, whether by bad teaching or just by not being educated on the right things to say. If we can go to those people and influence change with church leaders, with church people, then maybe the narrative surrounding church and pain sufferers will be, oh yeah, I went to church and was seen and heard and taken care of, and
more than just one time.
Yeah.
It actually turned into a relationship,
And it becomes a culture and the way that you operate,
Instead of going to church and your small group leader or your close friend or your pastor or pastor's wife or whatever says, oh, you don't feel good? Oh, God doesn't want you to be sick.
Right.
and then there's a
all you have to do is pray and ask the Lord to heal you, and he will heal you. Let me anoint you with oil and lay my hands on you, and you will be healed if you have enough faith. Those things are actually damaging to people. I'm not saying, well, I'm just saying it's damaging to people who are chronic pain sufferers. And it does make people feel like they're not heard or seen. And we would love to be able to create something that gives people actual words to say more than once, like more than just the first time someone says that. In fact, it gives people oh, you're a chronic pain sufferer. What happened?
Yeah,
Empowering. How long have you been suffering? Do you have a community of people? What can we do to help you?
I see you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
Impact. It goes into that.
It's not minimizing someone's pain,
right,
and making it unchristian to be in pain,
right? Because that is unfortunately oftentimes the case where, it becomes your faith is called into question because you're suffering, whether it's physical or mental.
Right.
So we want to really lean into the empowerment and education of people to stop the cycle. And it's that ripple effect. You change one group of people, and then it goes out and it becomes a way of life, and then we can connect with other people, and it grows, and that's the hope.
So when we say we have a bigger goal, what we're saying is
we have a big goal. And we have a big goal. And so for me, the initial immediate thing is like, oh, we have a big goal. Let's go big. Let's go to social media, which is access to
a lot of people,
hundreds and thousands of people. It's just all right there. But it's hundreds. Dang algorithm. It's hundreds of thousands of people who may not be looking.
Right.
So I would rather trade the platform of 100,000 people who might not be looking for one person face to face whose attention I've got. Yeah. That's where we will impact the most change, and it's going to be through those conversations and real life application. So, how's that going to look? We're still processing that out. Again, that's part of what we've been doing the last 5 months is talking. That's a lot of what we do is
we talk a lot.
Is talk. And but wanting to take it beyond talking, and I don't know. We've got some ideas. I don't want to
I know it's hard to talk about, but because we haven't.
There's nothing set in stone, but we have big ideas. But we do have people who are willing to invest in those ideas. We have church communities that have offered to be, ground zero for phase one, if you will. So it's all in process, but we wanted to kind of share a little bit of that with you guys to explain the shift and explain the absence, and that it's not absence. It's just, it's absence on our social media platforms, but we don't want you to take that as a lack of interest or that the passion has died away. No. It's still there, but we're looking at real life applications and understanding that there's a lot that goes into this. We're digging through our own stuff as we're trying to create things to help other people go through their stuff.
That's a huge thing for me. This last year has been, I don't think I've ever dug so deep in trying to heal emotionally than I've dug in the last year. Mm-hmm. And the last probably 8 months, 10 months has been probably since, was September, October of last year.
Yeah. Just
digging very deep, utilizing therapy and anything that I can get my hands on.
You're reading so many books.
I'm reading so many books, and I listen to them. Reading is very difficult for me, but I was able to listen to The Myth of Normal, and boy, oh boy, did that change a lot for me in a really good way, and I recommend it highly. We could do another podcast and talk about it, because the book is like,
it's huge.
It's like this thick. But I've done a lot. I've listened to a lot of things, a lot of podcasts and things like that, just to try to work through my own personal emotional pain that has accompanied my chronic pain. And that has been one of the reasons why I paused.
Yeah.
Because putting content out was part of my journey of telling my story. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons we started the Pain Project, is I felt, and she felt like it starts here.
Yeah.
It starts with me telling my story. I never have really told my story. And I have a long story, because it spans over pretty much my whole life. But anyway.
Yeah. So the content creation portion of it was not as, I would say, if we were to break it down, it was a little bit harder for me.
Yeah. Well, you had an infant.
I do have babies.
Baby and, nursing and children. And I didn't. And I enjoyed it. In fact, would come up with a lot of ideas, or she would say, ooh, try this. And so I did enjoy that. But one of the things that happened, I don't know if this is the right time.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the things that happened was, as someone who is very close to me, there was just a little bit of an issue between the two of us. And this person asked me what was wrong, and I said, literally, I don't think we should talk about it. I'm in the middle of some pretty intense things, and I am just not ready to share.
You were processing it out in therapy, and you're like, I will deal with it there. We don't need to get into it.
But because it was someone I trusted, and they trusted me, they talked me into it, and I shared what I was going through. And I'm not going into a lot of detail right now, because that part doesn't really matter as much, and maybe in another podcast we can talk about more detail of that. But when I shared my story, and this person has something to do with my story, when I shared my story, they shut me down.
It was not well received.
It was not well received. It was, I don't know, taken personal is probably the wrong word, but...
Regardless of, like, the ins and outs, it was highly traumatic.
It was traumatic for me. And I have been trying to understand why I feel paused. But when I get right down to it, that paused me. I felt like sharing my story wasn't effective. And I felt paused. I don't know how else to communicate. Because this person I was talking to, I love very much, and they love me very much. So the fact that this happened with someone where we love each other, I'm like, oh, my story doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't matter. Mm-hmm. Oh crap, So I've been working pretty hard since then to unpause myself, where I can tell my story again, and this is my platform to do that.
Yeah.
and I'm working on it. It's
Yeah.
so very hard. You can't see it, but I'm all like shaky and nervous, and because I don't like to talk about it. Telling my story is not easy. It's ugly, and there's not a lot of fun in it.
Yeah.
Unless I'm talking about my kids or my husband or my grandkids, then it's super fun and super cute. But the other parts are really kind of ugly and painful and no fun. So anyway, so
that was another reason why we paused in general. And I wanted to be respectful of that pause that you needed a pause after that. But it was like a pause and then a halt. The momentum that you were building paused, and then
it halted.
It came to a halt. And so
screeching, like I couldn't even think about creating content.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find any creativity. Like I found no purpose in it.
No
anymore.
Inspiration. And, yeah.
Which is really sad. That makes me really sad.
Yeah. And so, but that's what we're talking about. Like this goal of sharing our stories is really scary, and you can be building up all of this courage and all of this bravery and be working through all of your stuff, and then one wrong encounter can really just kind of throw it off the rails. And that's a lot for social media. This is real life. These are real life people, real life relationships, and we're not the only ones. I mean, we know that, you're not the only one who's shared your story with a trusted loved one and it not gone well. There's that I think is unfortunately a fairly common story. And so we're recognizing the shortcomings of just social media, and wanting to honor those stories and build each other up without re-traumatizing ourselves. Right.
It's like we want to tell our stories, but also we're going to try to protect ourselves from being re-traumatized. So there's kind of
there's a lot that
It's a lot.
There's a lot that goes into it. We're not making this video to say, these are our steps forward, and this is what we're doing, and here's steps 1, 2, and 3.
I wish we had that.
I wish we had that.
That would be super easy, but...
But what we are saying is that we're still here. We're very much still doing the work, both Pain Project related and personal. We still have a huge passion for this, to see change, to see these cycles break.
I would like to see we would like to see people who are suffering with chronic pain to heal emotionally, so they can tell their stories, so that they can go to church and feel like they're whole, or they can be in whatever community that they call their community and feel seen and heard and believed in.
And also hopefully encouraging loved ones to say, hey, when someone comes to you and says, this is my story, how can you receive that? What work does a loved one need to do internally to be able to receive that in a way that is helpful and builds connection rather than disconnection, and helps you to see one another? It's very, very involved.
Yeah. And even though we don't have a line-on-line plan yet, what we want, because social media is so unpredictable, what we want is something in written form. I think our goal is
something tangible.
Something tangible that we can hand to someone, that we can take to a church, that we could go through with a group of people, that if we needed a seminar or we needed
a workshop,
something that like we could actually have something to give to someone that is tangible. So whether you want to call it a curriculum or a workbook, I don't, we're not sure, we're not quite there yet. We just, that's kind of the goal.
Because like if some freak thing happened and social media was gone, what's the impact?
It's gone.
Yeah. All of the effort. We can record stuff all day long. But if we're not engaging with people, then what's the impact? I mean, I am not wanting to discount the impact that can happen here.
Correct.
Because it is there. But I think that this might be a supplement. And I 100% agree on having something tangible. And whatever that looks like, whether it's a workbook or a curriculum or a book. I think that's, again, big plans, big goals.
Big plans. Thankfully, I'm married to an author.
A published author.
A published
that's
author.
True.
So,
That's true. We have an
author.
We have an N there. Yeah, that's true.
It's her dad too.
Yeah, that's my dad. It's fine. We're connected, is what we're trying to say.
Oh gosh. Oh.
So
yeah.
So that's where we're at. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Stick around. I mean, if you have anything, any input, anything, we are here. We're listening.
We're big ideas people, if you can't tell. So if you have thoughts, connections, ideas.
And we're even okay with a few little naysayers. If you have something that you don't agree with something that we said or you have questions about it,
let us know.
The more people who are talking about pain, chronic pain, emotional or physical, the more we learn. We learn, you learn, everyone learns. And grows, and that is the point. So
absolutely, because it's not about, we're not here wanting to just shut down everybody who disagrees with us. We've said it from the beginning. The table is big, and it's big enough for everybody to have a seat. And so, the more dialogue that occurs, the more we'll learn, and that's really what we're lifelong learners, and we want to encourage other people to learn themselves and to learn the people around them. So any input, whether it's ideas or critiques, we welcome all of it. And so I think that that's our update.
And happy 1 year to the Pain Project. And
the Pain Project is 1 year old, officially.
Yeah.
You know? But it's very exciting, and we're still really excited about it, and we have big plans, and so we hope that you'll stick around and join the conversation. So until next time.
Thank you for joining our conversation today. If there's something you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment, send a message, or email us at hello@thepainproject.co.
If you found this helpful or encouraging, please consider following us on social media, subscribing on YouTube, all the things. You know what to do. As always, we are so glad that you're here. No matter who you are and where you're coming from, we're glad for your perspective. The table is big, and there's room for everyone.